You ready? I don't think there's an intro to this. This is a fucking intro to this.
You say it every
boyos.
week.
I know. Welcome, boyos. Every single week, we are doing it live. Welcome to the Spoiler Loner Spoilercast. Loner Spoilercast, where we spoil the loner cast of MCU. We're talking about Marvel Avengers. Let's just get right to it.
Let's do it.
This is how it is. Welcome. What did you think of this movie?
Just off the top, you go first.
It's been a fucking long time. I know I asked you a fucking question, and then I just interrupted you.
No, but I always go first. You go first. You go.
Okay. All right. So, what did you think of this movie, Jake? I thought this movie was... I fucking like this movie. Okay. Like, I haven't seen this movie in a long time. I thought it was fucking good. Like, the character progression, like, they do the same... It's the same form with, you know, like, everybody in this movie seems like at the start. And then there's a turning point, and everybody's like, we gotta work together and beat the bad guys. Like, that's kind of how everything in the phase one has been so far. Minus, like, Iron Man and Captain America, right? But yeah, I enjoyed it. I really did. The couple of things that kind of threw me off was like the Tesseract. Like, I have a couple of questions about the Tesseract, and I have a couple of questions about like Loki in general. But we'll get into that a little later. I want to know what you thought for real this time. I won't interrupt you. I promise.
So I have always...
So what I was saying was... Just kidding. Okay. All right. Go. I'm sorry.
I've always been the guy that's like, I don't think Avengers is as good as everyone says it is. Mm-hmm. And I still kind of agree with that. I still think I think it's better than I initially remembered it being. But I still think it has a lot of fucking issues, man. Like, I think there's some like really epic shit in this movie, right? Like, this movie really cements like, hey, we got the Avengers and this shit is epic, bro. But like, I have written here like horrible dialogue. Like, one of them is like, what's your plan of attack? I have a plan. Attack. Or when really Coulson's like, well, he's not from here when he's talking about Loki or whatever. Like, there's so much bad dialogue in this movie.
It's corny. It's very corny. A lot of it is corny.
Yeah, I like it, but I don't know. Like, the intro is weird. It felt like really weird. Like, hey, we have this giant chase sequence. It was strange. But then there's stuff that I do like. Like, I like the scene where they're like, oh, let's call Natasha. And she's like, I'm at work right now. And she's like tied up to the chair or whatever. Like, I like that scene. I like when she goes and fucks with the Hulk. And like, you can see the genuine fear in her face when he's like about to turn, or that he's threatening to turn or whatever. And you can like see the genuine fear. But like, one big issue I have with this movie, and I understand because this is the first movie, I hate that they don't know how to work as a team though. But like, I understand this is the first movie and it's about them growing to learn to work as a team. But this is a bunch of really smart people doing a lot of really dumb shit. Like when Thor comes in and grabs Loki, and then they just like fight for some reason, and it's just like, why are you guys fighting? And it just felt like they were fighting because they were like, wouldn't it be cool to see these two characters fight?
They were fighting just to fight. I feel like that was most of the movie. They're like, okay, how can we have these two characters? How can we show these two characters are equally matched? Or like the power level between these two characters, so that way people can...
And I'm okay with that. I just don't feel like it was justified enough.
It's kind of forced in some situations.
Yeah. It's like, dude, you just attempted murder on this man. Like, but like, I do like the scene where like, where they're fighting Loki, right? Or Captain America's fighting Loki, and then fucking Tony Stark hacks into the fucking plane just to play fucking AC/DC. And then he comes in and just to fight with AC/DC in the background. I did like that. That was pretty cool.
That scene was kind of stupid. I really thought that's like,
That's such a Tony Stark move. I liked it a lot.
In that same scene, I think that is the moment where I'm like, yeah, Black Widow, Hawkeye, and Captain America are all just kind of useless in this movie.
Yeah, I don't know. They show that Cap is kind of strong though. No?
Yeah. I mean, he goes toe to toe with Loki and like gets his ass nearly kicked or whatever. Like he was going to get his ass kicked, obviously.
Yeah, but he did all right.
He did fine. But this movie is more about like Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, than the other ones. Like they try to include them.
It showed
they try to include them, and they're like, okay, yeah, they can do their own stuff. Like the Natasha scene where she's like kicking ass with this like mob boss or whatever. And then you see Hawkeye, just using arrows to do different cool shit. And it's like, okay, that's kind of cool. But like in this situation, they are so underpowered and so...
But I think they do a good job of showing, like, especially in the fight in New York, they show that Cap is a very good leader and he's able to like tell people what to do. And like, he is the Fred, He is the Fred of the group. You know what I mean? You go left.
Talking about Fred from
Scooby-Doo.
From Scooby-Doo, yeah.
The
Screen Machine Fred.
Yeah. Me and Daphne, we're going left. You and Scooby go right, and Velma, you go by yourself. That's how it goes, right?
Usually, but that's a terrible like plan.
That was just a joke.
I know, but that's a terrible plan, and it always happens. Shaggy and Scooby are always together.
Yeah. Why put them together?
Why put them together?
Well, he's Shaggy's dog, so I mean,
they're the most inept duo, though. But they do get shit done, and it works out. So
they do.
Fred's onto something. Fred's onto something. He's like, you guys will fucking luck into something.
That's why Fred's a good leader. He knows what he knows better than them that they're capable. He
knows past the fourth wall. He's just like, this is going to happen. I know it already. Let's
just like Captain America. He knows what they're capable of. I thought Hawkeye was really cool too. He shoots that arrow at Loki. And like Loki catches it and then it explodes and it's like, see, he's capable, like he's smart enough to make it work. Natasha felt like the weirdest one where she's like, yeah, just like throw me up with your shield and I'll just grab onto a thing.
She's got like nothing different than like the NYPD in the scene. She's just shooting two little blasters, like two little guns, pew 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 pew, and choking aliens out. And it's like, this seems weird. Yeah, where like at least Hawkeye's got like the different arrowheads where he shoots a guy and then it shoots everybody else around that one guy, and it's like, okay, that's kind of cool.
But Natasha did have like the benefit of being an Iron Man 2 and like being a huge part of that movie, so we kind of already knew her. Clint needed more, in this movie because we saw him for 2 seconds in Thor, so it makes sense that he got a little bit cooler stuff. But like there was that cool scene of Natasha and Hulk where she's like running away from Hulk and
it totally gets thrown.
Yeah, but it's still cool. And and I feel like it's this movie sets up a lot of stuff, right? It sets up the fact that her and Bruce are going to have a thing in the next movie. It sets up that way ahead of time. It sets up that Hulk and Thor are like, they're kind of bros, like, yeah, but there's that scene where they're fighting on top of the giant worm together, and like that's really cool. And then they like land in the building, and then he just like punches them. Yeah.
Well, because he kicked his ass. Like that scene where I think I'll break down the scene where Bruce Banner kind of loses control in the helicopter, right? Which is kind of like a. I feel like it's a plot hole.
It takes away from the ending where he's like, I'm always
angry. Then it's like, why the fuck did you lose it then? Like, you knew this was a thing. You feel like you would keep it, suppressed a little bit. But that kind of scene was just like, all right, it didn't fit. But the acting from Scarlett Johansson in that was like, fuck, dude, she is terrified.
Genuinely terrified.
Like, genuinely terrified. She does such a good acting, like just such good acting in that whole sequence. and you really feel scared for her. And if you've never seen Hulk, if you didn't watch like the Hulk, you're like, fuck, dude, what the hell is coming? What is? You knew nothing of Bruce Banner. It was just like, damn, I don't know what's coming, but she is terrifying. I feel for her. And then she gets saved by Thor, and they go toe to toe. And I thought that fight scene was really cool because you get like Hulk and how strong he is. He gets launched by the Mjolnir, and he can't pick it up even though he's trying. And I think that was a cool little ad that they put in there. Yeah, that whole scene was just really well done, I think.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by the Hulk that they referenced the movie, and when he's like, "Oh, last time I was in New York, I smashed half of Harlem." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you did. That is something you did." Yeah, yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, and then it also, I think Bruce was like really solid in this movie because it sets up like the relationship between him and Tony as well really well. Where like Tony comes in, he's like, "Oh, finally someone who speaks English," and it really shows that like these two dudes, like Tony is not an expert in everything, and Bruce is kind of an expert in a different area, and these two guys together are like insanely genius together.
Mega mind, exactly. They're when they collaborate, it's like the greatest minds in a room sort of situation.
I also like how obsessed Tony is with the Hulk. You know, he's like, I want to see that guy. I want to see him. Like, I want to experiment on him.
And I don't understand why he's so obsessed with him, because it's not like his character to be like, I'm gonna piss this guy off just so he punches me. Like, I feel like that's not really his style. I feel like he'd be more laid back. He wouldn't like, prod him and stuff. He'd be like more of like, hey, let's get a drink and get you drunk so that, you lose control that way rather than.
I think it's perfect for Tony because like he gets lost in his own hubris a lot, and he's like, I'm capable as Iron Man to take down the Hulk, no problem. But I'm like very curious about what this creature is and how strong he is. But like Tony probably did a lot of research into what happened in Harlem,
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. Like I think there's a lot of cool stuff in this movie.
There is. I think that is what makes this movie good. Is all of the cool connections that they do. It's the first time we see it in cinema is putting like multiple characters from different movies into one single movie and in a way that is entertaining, and I think that's really cool. Obviously, Loki fucking kills it.
Yeah, fucking
Tom Hiddleston does a great fucking job again.
Yeah, he's better in this movie than he is in Thor.
I think the writing's just better for him in this movie.
Yeah,
which is not saying much, but it is slightly better. Like there's the point where him and Thor are like on the cliff, and he's like, "You listen here, brother," and then Tony comes in and knocks Thor up, and he goes, "I'm listening."
Yeah,
it's just like,
that is funny.
All right. That's funny.
Yeah, this does feel like we're like Marvel. It's like, yeah, we're gonna throw in a lot of fucking jokes. Yeah. Like, yeah, we're the jokesters now, and funny enough, I think this is the last movie that Paramount had any involvement with.
Really,
but I wanted to make this comparison here. So let me pull it up. I wanted to look at Captain America, the First Avenger, box office. Okay. Captain America, the First Avengers box office was 370 million. Okay. That's pretty big. That's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Avengers box office. $1.5 billion. Billion.
Oh wow.
So this is when fucking Marvel's like, oh shit, we got something here, boys. Like, this is
something right. Yeah.
This is something crazy's happening here. And then they all started making $1 billion after this. Like, yeah, this movie was the huge turnaround. This is when, I really feel like this is when the MCU proper became a thing. Like, this was it.
Well, yeah, because in what we've seen so far in Iron Man 2, Iron Man 1, Captain America, Thor, and Incredible Hulk, they're kind of like their own things. They're fun, they're fine. The stories doesn't go too crazy. They kind of reference each other a little bit. But in this one, it's just like, you can feel that sense of like, wow, they pulled something off here. It's not just like, oh, they're setting up something. It's like, no, this happened, and it's exactly what they were going for, and it works. Even if it's not the best, it works. It does a good job at
I do
what
feel
it's set out to do.
I do feel like it falls into that original Suicide Squad trope where the first half of the movie is just like, let's bounce from character to character to character to character. And it just seems sort of lazy, but I get it for this movie. It's like the first time we're seeing the Avengers, like, let's just introduce them one at a time. That's fine. I think Suicide Squad handled it. The second Suicide Squad movie handled it much better. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It's a good movie.
I mean, it's a very different movie than the second Suicide Squad. Whereas I think what they're trying to do with the bouncing from character to character is they're trying to give Coulson character. They're trying to relate him to every single person. Because if you notice that everybody that Coulson like interacts with, he has like a backstory with that character. Mm-hmm. So like he has with Captain America, he's got the cards. You sign my cards, and that's like the biggest one. Thor, he like talks to Thor for something, talks to Tony
him and
about
Thor,
something.
Yeah, he was in the Thor movie,
Right, and they talk about Esric or whatever, the scientist guy.
Yeah. And then him and Tony, which that scene with Tony, and he's like, Tony, we need your help. And then Pepper like whispers in Tony's ear, and he's like, oh, because she's like, I'll do this for you if you do it. And it's like, and this is the first movie where we see like Tony and Pepper are an item,
right?
Like, yeah,
officially anyway.
Yeah.
It's kind of like hinted at or teased about, but yeah, it's
in Iron Man 2 they kiss at the end,
right? But it kind of sets up his character and why they should avenge him, because that's the whole reason the Avengers are the Avengers. Because if they just went, oh, there's a big bad guy that's taking over, their name wouldn't make any fucking sense. What are you avenging? Nothing. We're not really avenging anything. So they had to make this character, Agent Coulson, a deeper character within every one of those guys' lives, in order to turn it around. And I think they did a really good job at that, at a basic level. It's not like crazy deep where you really feel the connection, but it's like it's understandable why the characters do what they do in this movie, because of Coulson's death. And honestly, it was a pretty cool death.
Yeah, very earned. And then and Sam Jackson's fucking amazing in this movie as well. Like, everyone is cool in this movie. Also Ashley Johnson in the movie as well. Fun fact.
Who's that?
Ashley Johnson. She plays Ellie. She was like the news reporter at the end of the movie.
Oh shit! No way! I thought she looked familiar. Where she's like, "Yeah, Captain America saved."
Yeah.
Okay, I thought she looked familiar. I'm like, what is the significance of this person?
Apparently, there's a deleted scene with her flirting with Captain America because they were gonna make her like a love interest for Captain America, and that was going to be the Stan Lee cameo, because Stan Lee was going to be like, can't you see she's flirting with you, boy, or whatever.
Oh, okay, interesting. And then they saved it for like...
They just cut that scene, I guess. And then they put him in the newscast. Yeah.
Which is probably one of the worst Stan Lee cameos.
Yeah,
It's
probably because they deleted the Stan Lee cameo because they're like, we actually don't want her as a love interest,
right.
which is probably what they decided. They're like, we don't want a love interest for Stan Lee, for Captain America. So then they just kind of threw him in there.
Yeah. I liked it. I had a good time with it.
Yeah, I like Tony's sacrifice at the end. Very cool.
Yeah,
I feel
like it was like meant to happen. Knowing now with like Endgame stuff, it's like, well, that wasn't really like a sacrifice. It wasn't a sacrifice. I feel like Tony didn't have enough character development to sacrifice himself and be like a good story end.
Yeah. No, it wasn't the end for Tony. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I think even when I saw this in theaters back in the day, it was the same kind of thing. Like, oh, Tony can't be done. They didn't do anything to his character yet. They have the character. He hasn't progressed anymore. He's still a pompous asshole.
There's some really cool scenes too when they're fighting, when we finally get to see them together. Like that scene where Iron Man shoots his beam at the shield. And the reason I bring that up is because I'm like, there wasn't like a whole lot of character progression, but there was. It just didn't feel very earned. And that's kind of my biggest issue with this movie is like 1 second, they all just sort of hate each other.
Right.
Then they find out
Coulson dies. Yeah.
Yeah. And also they find out that Nick Fury was making some sort of like death ray or something. And that pisses them all off.
It was a bomb. It was the nuclear bomb. That was like their backup plan.
Yeah, that he made out of the Tesseract or whatever. And so that pisses them all off. And now they're all best friends. And now they all know how to fight together like super well. And it's like, I don't know, that didn't feel super earned to me. It would have been cool if there was just like a little training montage with all of them. Just a little montage of them working together before the big fight at the end.
Like with the way that everybody kind of came through, like Tony's just like, everybody's going to come by because they have to, like everybody feels the same exact way as I do. So I'm going to go talk to Loki face to face, and hopefully everybody will return when I need them to. And luckily they all fucking do. Friggin' Hulk comes by on a fucking motorcycle on this destroyed city with people like burned and fucking dead on the sidewalk, and he just drives up. Hey guys, what's going on? Yeah,
that's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry. Yeah.
That's a cool fucking scene. Though.
It is. It's a classic.
Punches the fucking worm in the face, and the whole thing goes over.
Yeah, they make the Hulk real strong in this fucking movie. And that's the other thing about this movie, where it's like, I get why they did it, but it feels a bit extreme. Like, man, they really fucking destroyed New York.
Oh yeah. People fucking died.
That's like 30 9/11s.
Yeah. That's like a Hiroshima almost.
Yeah.
It's not the whole city was wiped out, but a whole lot of them were.
Well, yeah, then we don't see the aftermath. If one plane can knock down the Twin Towers, if there's like a gaping hole in these buildings, a lot of those buildings are going to collapse too.
Oh yeah.
What was I gonna say? I have written here because I was writing some notes as I was watching. I wrote at the beginning, how many SHIELD agents died in the implosion at the beginning of the movie, and then later Natasha says 80 people have died in 2 days. It's like, damn, dude, they're really killing people.
Yeah, freaking Loki kills 80 people.
Yeah, and that's a really funny scene too, because he's like, he's my brother, and she's like, he killed 80 people in 2 days. He's adopted.
Yeah, he's adopted. Yeah, so I thought it's super dark. They don't show any death really, except for maybe like the aliens, which is okay for some reason. But you don't see anybody die. There's implied death. But yeah, obviously hundreds of people died with this movie.
Thousands.
Yeah, well, yeah, probably.
No, easily thousands. Yeah.
So, well, yeah, if Loki can kill 80 people in 2 days, and this army comes to New York City in the
I would
middle of New York.
never live in a city again. If that happened in the real world, I would fucking move to Nebraska or something.
Yep. Move out.
No fucking way, dude.
You just move to like New Jersey. If you live in New York, you just move to New Jersey. That way you can look at what's happening, but you're not really in the fight.
No, because then, like, some fucking superheroes in New Jersey, and it's like any city now has a superhero. It's like, I don't want to live anywhere a superhero is because it just seems like a bad time.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Don't think about it, though. You're not supposed to think about these things.
You're not wrong. I was going to bring up, like, the Tesseract. I don't understand how, like, do we see this later, how Loki finds the Tesseract, or how he even, like, interacts with it, or how they get the Tesseract even? Like, they show, like, Howard Stark finds it in the ocean.
Right.
Years before anything of this happens.
Oh, but then decades.
But then Loki goes disappearing. He talks to Thanos, right? Thanos gives him the scepter, and then he just can open a portal through.
Well, because the scepter has the Mind Stone,
right?
And then the Tesseract is the Soul Stone.
No, it's not the Soul Stone.
It's one of the stones.
One of them, Matter Stone.
Yeah, something. But I think Thanos just knew where it was,
and he just made a portal. But like that's weird. Like, why not just do it yourself?
Well, doesn't he say that in one of the end credit scenes where he goes, "Guess I just have to do it myself."
Just gotta do it myself. He puts the glove on.
Yeah.
Which is there's something weird.
There's
about
some
that.
retcon shit going on in these movies for sure, because I feel like they didn't really know what the fuck they were doing with Thanos yet, especially in this movie, where we just get the the nutsack chin turnaround. You just sort of.
Did we even get that? We didn't get that in this one.
It's the end credit scene, yeah.
I thought the end credit scene was the shawarma thing.
That's the second credit scene.
Oh, I missed it then. I fast forward past it.
There's a mid credit scene where it's just him, and he just turns around and goes.
Really?
He doesn't say anything because they didn't have Josh Brolin yet.
Right. Well, he's talking in the beginning, isn't he?
Yeah, I guess he is. Huh?
Oh, so that's Thanos.
I don't know. The whole Thanos thing is very confusing. The gems and the Tesseract, it didn't seem like they had a plan yet. Like they didn't know what they were doing yet.
Right. Yeah. It seemed very
just like
the Tesseract is the base stone.
It's a MacGuffin at this point, where it's just like it's something to get. The skeleton man is inside of it, I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
the space stone is the one in the Tesseract, and the Mind Stone is the one in the scepter.
Okay.
So
yeah, because they use the one from the scepter to make Vision and Ultron.
Do they?
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
And then, yeah, I don't know. It's too confusing. Can't keep up with it.
There's so much of it going. Mind Stone. Okay, yeah. I'm looking at a little graph that says like Space Stone, Tesseract, Reality Stone, Heart of Gaia, Time Stone, Amulet, Soul Stone, Nebula, Power Stone, Orb, and Mind Stone in the scepter. So,
right, and that's why they say there was 3 stones on Earth at the same time, and that's why they came back to the Avengers, because the Mind Stone was in the staff, and the what did you say? The Space Stone
was in the Tesseract,
and then the Time Stone was with the Doctor Strange lady.
Yeah.
So should we rank these things? Should we do it?
Yeah, let's fucking do it. I'm gonna share my screen. It'll be this one. Go live. Boom. Boom, daddy. You see it?
I see it.
Perfect. So I am thinking like, yeah.
Well, let's read the list.
Okay.
At number one, we've got Loki. At number 2, we've got Iron Man. At number 3, we've got WandaVision. At number 4, we've got Captain America, the First Avenger. At number 5, we've got Black Widow. At number 6, we've got Falcon Winter Soldier. At number 7, we've got Iron Man 2. And at number 8, we've got Incredible Hulk. And then at number 9, we've got Thor. What were you thinking?
I'm thinking between Captain America and Black Widow, actually. That's what I'm thinking.
I actually agree. Because I did have...
Really?
Yeah, I actually...
Really? Okay, I was thinking you would put it down towards like
Iron
Man 2 or Falcon Winter Soldier.
Like I said, like I think as far as it go, like how do I say this right? Is the Avengers the best movie ever? No. But what they pulled off was incredible, and like it can't be understated. So like I do think, yeah.
Yeah, and it had some great moments where, you know, not only just like fighting the enemy, but fighting each other. There were some cool moments, even if they weren't earned necessarily. It was still cool to watch, you know, Hulk try to pick up the hammer and Thor like supercharging Tony's suit, stuff like that. I do feel like Natasha was kind of out of her league.
Yeah.
And they even say it, and like Hawkeye even says to her, he's like, "You're not a soldier. You're a spy. Are you okay with this?" And that whole conversation, I didn't quite understand. She's like, "I got red on my rap sheet. I don't want red on my sheet." I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? She's killed too many people and she doesn't want to kill anymore, so she's becoming a soldier? Like, I don't understand, like...
Well, I guess, like, right? Like, and at this point, you know, they hadn't quite developed Black Widow's backstory. And in the comic books, like, Black Widow is like a tragic character, you know, where which they kind of, you know, touch on in the Black Widow movie, but
yeah, they really go into it with that like flashback, which was the best part of that movie, honestly.
I like that movie, but I think it's good.
It's a pretty okay movie.
I'm so shocked that people don't like that movie. I'm so like confused. I'm so confused that people don't like that movie. I thought it was pretty good. Anyway.
Obviously we thought it was better than a couple of these movies. So
yeah. But I think if it were up to you, it'd be lower.
Probably just one lower, honestly. I think Falcon and Winter Soldier was better. But Falcon and Winter Soldier did have some like pacing issues.
Yeah.
So I can understand where it's at. I agree with where it's at right now. I just liked it a little bit more than Black Widow. Yeah. Do we have anything else to say about this movie?
I'm excited for Phase 2. Let's go.
I am too. What is the next one that we're watching?
Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3. That's right. Iron Man 3 is the next movie that will be on this.
And then Thor: The Dark World. So 2 movies that I don't remember liking. So we'll see.
I remember liking Iron Man.
But then
not so much.
Then we get Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which is like one of my favorite movies. So very excited about that. But also not next week, but the week after that is Shang-Chi. So
we might have to put this on hold for a minute.
We could still do Iron Man 3 next week for sure.
Well, next Iron Man 3, but then the week after that, we'll probably stop and go to Shang-Chi. Probably. And then the week after that, go to Thor for sure. Yeah. We'll have a space where we get out of order just because the new movie comes out.
Well, we could probably do Iron Man 3 next week, and then on the 6th, we could probably still do Thor. But then the week after that, we'll probably have to do Shang-Chi. That makes sense.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, so that's been it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Check out our other Lonercast shows. We go live on twitch.tv/Lonercast at 3:30 every Monday. So check us out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for chatting. even though none of you chatted. But I
Jerks.
still fucking yeah. Anyway, thanks everybody. Talk to y'all laters.